Namaste. Good morning. It's been a little while since I've seen you on this healing journey, but I'm back. And just a quick update on how things are going. Feeling really great. That's today. It's not every day. Sometimes, yesterday wasn't such a great day. I was very low energy, but I can explain that. I was on a fast and didn't eat the best on Sunday, and it has a tendency to drain your energy, drain my energy. But I'm back, and something I've been thinking about today a little bit is just the value of consistency, and as my teacher calls it, constancy of aim and effort. He actually talks about it. Master Choa talks about it as one-pointedness and constancy of aim and effort, meaning what is your target, knowing where you're going, and then constantly working towards it. And this has come up for me in a way of, quite frankly, the gym. Yesterday I didn't go to the gym either because I stayed up late on Sunday and I was tired and didn't feel like getting up at 4 a.m. And I'm okay with that. I'm trying to give myself compassion. It's important that we have compassion for ourselves and have flexibility and have patience and the ability to give ourselves a break. You don't want to push ourselves too much sometimes. It's all about balance. It's all about moderation. But in that balance is constancy of aim and effort. And for me, I've come so far in my workouts that it's really kind of fun to look back and see, just how strong I've become, and how building one day on top of another, or stacking one day on top of another, is really what gets us results. And on the flip side of that, when you are doing things that aren't necessarily good for yourself, it can have the same effect, right? It's so easy to fall into the hole of, I'm just going to have one drink a night, right? Well, one drink a night turns into 7 drinks a week. And then maybe it turns into 2 drinks a night every other night. And then before you know it, you're drinking every night, right? These little actions that we take every day stack on top of each other. So how does this relate to depression? Which is what I'm working on for myself and what I'm healing myself for. Depression is something that we can overcome. And partially that's what I'm doing here today is through this healing that I'm doing for myself. Even though I feel great, I'm going to continue to take the actions to clear these energies from my body, so that I'm giving myself compounded interest of change, if you will, over time. If I continue to do these things, if I continue to move things in the right direction, I expect to not even recognize some of the old things that I have identified with in my life. I've also been thinking a lot about addiction and how to reach those who might be struggling with addiction. And for me, addiction doesn't have to be, hey, I'm shooting up heroin and the only hope for me is to go to rehab. Those cases do exist. But in my experience, I have spent a large part of my life even dealing with how would I call it, being a functional addict, right? Somebody who, maybe smokes a little bit of weed or has some alcohol every now and then, but, over time it just becomes ingrained into who you are. It becomes ingrained into your life. And, at least in my experience, it's something that is hard to break away from, but it's something that I know doesn't serve me and something that I want to break away from. How can I be happy without these things? Right? And even little things like, one of my least favorite songs is Everybody's Working for the Weekend, because it's just this concept of you've got to kill yourself and punish yourself 5 days a week. And then the weekend comes and you can get some relief. Oh, thank God, I can party, I can relax, I can sleep in and do all of these things. Right. And to me, that was a lifestyle that just was not sustainable and one that wasn't making me happy. I'd feel like crap throughout the week being, stressed and high strung, or overworked, or, just barely getting through the week and working myself to the bone. Sunday would come across, and I would use substances to make myself feel better. And granted, I would feel better for that time, but then it seems like on Monday I would feel worse than I had felt the previous week. And again, compounding interest just keeps making that worse and worse and worse. So over the course of a month, a half a year, a full year, 5 years, right? Every single Monday seems to be getting a little bit worse. So what I'd like to do is, find a way to help those who just, maybe don't think they have a huge problem, but would like to experience something different, experience something more. I'm all about moderation. So, I read a quote the other day that says, there's nothing wrong with alcohol and marijuana as long as you're not using it to be happy, right? And that's something that's kind of been profound for me, in that, I would use it to be happy. If I'm down, if I'm stressed, if I'm anxious, it's like, oh, okay, we'll have a drink, or, eat an edible, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm happy and I don't care. But, that person that doesn't care isn't the real me. It's my mind. It's my mind that is now put to ease. It's getting some rest. It's getting some relief. So it feels like I'm happy. But then when I wake up again on Monday morning and I'm not doing those things, I just feel like shit. So for those of you out there that might relate with this, it just takes a little bit of practice, takes a little bit of, setting goals. Hey, I'm not going to do this. Say, hey, I'm going to give myself a week off from anything and just experience what a weekend is like without it. And then just, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, if you have to. And, the future is a bunch of right now stacked on top of each other. So everything you do right now, which is a perpetually moving moment, is going to create what you are in the future. And eventually, you're going to see a new side of life that you've never experienced before, which can be scary, but it's also very rewarding. So with no further ado, I'm going to continue down my self-healing journey, working to remove energies of depression. Something to clarify here is that I was talking to a friend over the weekend about, the definition of clinical depression. And clinical depression is, I haven't verified this, but I do trust his word that clinical depression is essentially the psychological categorization of depression, which means that you're depressed for no reason. In Pranic Healing, we call that depression for psychological factors. The other depression that we can work on is depression caused by physical factors. And that could be something, physical might be, for me, in my experience, losing my father, right? Losing my best friend caused a lot of depression, right? But this was a physical event that happened that made me depressed, that, I was grieving, and I had to, take time, be patient, and work through a lot of these different feelings and emotions in order for that depression to subside a bit. Psychological depression, on the other hand, or depression for psychological factors is more about long-running depression that's almost unexplainable. And that is what I'm working on for myself, just trying to identify, any of those energies, remove any of these energies that cause me sadness for sometimes no reason. I've done 3 healing sessions on myself so far. I had an amazing healing session done for me by one of my Pranic Healing brothers, Jay. I'll link his information here below. If you want an introduction to another healer in this space, and just feeling really, really good. And I think there's a noticeable change in me. The mornings feel lighter. They feel easier. Kind of feels like I'm high, honestly, but I'm not high. And it's just this lightness, this easiness, where I'm not so worried about anything or everything, or down for no reason. I'm able to communicate with my wife better. I'm able to control my emotions better. I'm able to breathe more often and more deeply. So That's what I'm working on today. Depression due to psychological factors. And thanks for being here. And if I can answer any questions for you, please do leave comments or send me a message, and I'm happy to help. Thanks for hanging in there. I just finished that healing. I guess just to wrap it up, one thing that came up for me while I was doing this was, addiction to anything can be difficult. It can feel fateful. It can feel like there's no escape. For many years, I thought that because I had started using marijuana at such a young age, that this was something that was just going to have to be part of my life, that I had gone too far down this road and enjoyed it too much or experienced it too much to ever be different. But I can tell you that, and this is a mantra I use for myself when I am trying to find more balance or moderation, the level of happiness that I can achieve without substances is way greater than the level of happiness that I can achieve with substances. And to me, it's an indication of where we are at. If I'm in an extremely sad, depressed state, sure, using a substance might make me feel better, but it's like we talked about, it's temporary. That happiness is temporary, and then you're coming back down to where you started. Versus putting in the effort to create that happiness for yourself can take you way beyond where you ever were and teach you how to maintain it. So it'll keep you higher, no pun intended, than you could ever be if you're high or drunk. But this can be really difficult, and this is where pranic healing can help. Pranic healing can help you in a way that maybe an antidepressant would help. Nobody really wants to be on antidepressants their entire life, but sometimes they're necessary in order to create a level set in your life, right? If you're so overwhelmed, if you're so depressed, if you're so sad, if you've got so much going on, sometimes just having a little bit of a relief, in this case with medication, can help you to kind of recuperate and recover and figure out where that target is that you want to be aiming towards. Pranic healing is the same thing. It's a way to do that without having to take medication, and it is powerful. I will tell you, pranic healing is so powerful. I've never actually experienced Reiki, but I've heard from clients how immediate and powerful that this type of energy healing is, and it can really kind of in an instant help you to get out from underneath the fog, to let go of a lot of the difficult energies that keep us static, they keep us in a rut, they keep us held down, they keep us confused, unable to see where we're going, unable to find the energy to think of anything except for what's 1 inch in front of your nose. And once you've accomplished that, then it's time to get some relief with something like marijuana or alcohol or worse. So pranic healing is really powerful and can help you to, to make the changes that you want in your life. And I would advocate for everybody, as somebody who has experience. I've used marijuana for 26 years, since I was 18 years old. And I'm not saying I'll never use it again. But I have a relationship with it. I see the value in it. I see it's good. And it has helped me through a lot of times in my life. But also I see and I'm learning the value of happiness and joy and bliss without having to use something as a crutch to get me there. And I wish that for everybody. I wish that, we can all find a level of peace that creates more joy for yourself, for your family, for the world. If there were more peace and more happiness in this world, then I don't think anything but good could happen in this world. And we could start doing that today by clearing away some of the negative, dirty energies that we accumulate through our lives, through our days, and replacing that with healthy energy and essentially getting kind of refreshed, recharged, to have a new outlook on life. I'm 44 years old and I feel like a kid. I feel like, the world is in front of me, that I have so much potential and so much power to accomplish anything that I want in life. The older I get, the more excited I get about life. And that's what I hope for everybody. So thanks for being here. Namaste. See you next time.